Good morning, and hey now, PASW staff, clients, and friends joining us out there. Welcome to Thursday's class. We had a great time looking at the godfather of soul, James Brown, and the amazing, prolific, iconic performer, just born to perform the other day, and that was really fun. Then we looked at your film scoring assignment, The Shawshank Redemption, which we're going to see the results for tomorrow. So I can't wait to show you that. You guys came up with some great stuff. Very proud of that. Good work we're doing. Today we're gonna go on a little LA trip. We're gonna look at maybe the most, it could be the most famous sign in the world. And it was only supposed to be there a year and a half. This was not supposed to still be here. And I think some of the people that developed it would probably be surprised today that we're still talking about it, because it was really just made on flimsy material that was easily, breakable. But I'm glad that it is still here. Today we'll be talking about the Hollywood sign.
Hooray for Hollywood, that's gooey ballyhooly Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking plan.
Hollywood sign is erected in 1923, so we're gonna look at the history of the sign. We're also gonna look at the history of Hollywood in a kind of concise manner, and we're mostly gonna just have fun and look at the city around us. And as artists, we have to be inspired by our surroundings. So it's going to be fun. So yeah, it was really only supposed to be there a year and a half, because it was meant to promote real estate. And this was, it was built really by Harry Chandler. So we could do 10,000 classes on Harry Chandler. I mean, it's hard not to talk about LA history without even talking about this guy. This guy really built Los Angeles. He was the owner of the Times, and this billboard for Hollywood cost $21,000. And that, obviously, as we all know, it was Hollywood land in the beginning. And Chandler was a newspaper man, a publisher, and investor. Chandler was really responsible for building Los Angeles and the evolution of it. If we think of his accomplishments, I mean, I think he was kind of ruthless, but he really helped drive a lot of the culture and the buildings here. And the LA Coliseum. He brought the Olympics to LA in 1932, which was a great thing for our city. He brought the Biltmore Hotel and the Hollywood Bowl, the Ambassador, Caltech, California Club, the Pacific Electric Cars, Santa Anita Racetrack, the Ahwahnee Hotel in Yosemite, the restoration of Olvera Street in Chinatown. He was really responsible for bringing all these great things to the city, and just in a real classy manner too, because when you're competing with Chicago, New York, and then Paris and Europe, I mean, it's we have to have our city too. So he was really responsible for bringing so much light and culture and class and coolness to the city that we love. So let's go like 30, 40 years before the sign's erected in 1923. What's happening there? Mostly it's the Gabrielinos, the Indian tribe that's living there on the land. And it's kind of Old West. It really is kind of cowboys and, Sunset Boulevard, there before it was there. It was just meant for grazing and for, just kind of hanging out and people on the land until kind of the 1880s. So if we think of Hollywood, I mean, just the city, that was named by a woman, actually, Tahita Wilcox. So she and her husband moved out to LA in the 1880s, and they bought a bunch of land. And his wife, Tahita, got the name Hollywood from a friend back at home who it was her vacation house that she called. And Tahita told her husband, well, all this land that we've just got, let's name it Hollywood, because I like the name. And so she got it from a friend, and the rest is history. So 1887 is when it officially became Hollywood. So as I like to do, let's go back to 1923. So let's let's just fast forward to what's going on that year. Well, we get the first baseball game at Yankee Stadium in 1923. Okay, Warner Brothers is established in Hollywood. The woman's one-piece bathing suit is now finally out. The world's first portable radio is developed. The Ten Commandments by Cecil DeMille comes out. Insulin is now available for diabetes. Time magazine comes out. And The Hunchback of Notre Dame with Lon Chaney comes out. So things are happening this year when the sign's erected. And if we think about right before the sign, and I know we're going back and forth a little bit, but so if it's 1887, for the next 20 years or so, it's kind of just, there's going to be some development a little bit, but it's not really until 1907, around that area, where they start movies. They start coming out here for movies. And that's mostly because this Chicago film company found the perfect weather, the perfect climate to do this. And they needed to finish this movie. And so they kind of came out here by accident, really. They kind of started telling all their other friends in Chicago and New York, hey, this place LA is really actually, you guys should shoot out there. It always has great weather and you can make it look like anything else. So from 1907 on, that's kind of when factories and they started kind of building movie studios over here. Most of the money was always in New York and Wall Street and back east, but the production was all out here in our backyard. And by 1915, everyone's really into Hollywood. Is officially, everyone's crazy about this town, and becoming famous and rich, and then so in 1923, this, they want the economy to prosper out here. Of course, Chandler and the other politicians. So that's when they create this advertisement. And it's gone through a series of changes. I mean, in 1932, there was a suicide, a lady jumping off the H letter. And, because as all of the great stories that are happening in LA, there's also, and in Hollywood, there's also a lot of tragedy happening. I mean, this town is very fickle, and it still is. It's kind of this dream come true, or this real, not happy ending. I mean, we still haven't figured out quite why that is in this town that we live in. How people have great luck, and then they have terrible luck, and then it's just so it's. And then in 1949, they took off the land part, and they took off the land mostly because it was in the contract, because they wanted to reflect the district of Hollywood and not just the housing development part. So, and I believe that's when it stopped being lit up at night. And I don't know why, for the life of me, still today. And I've thought about creating a Kickstarter campaign, if you guys want to get into this at some point, that this should be lit up at night. I don't understand why. That's a different subject in a different class, but remind me and we'll get back to that subject. And they wanted to tear it down several times. I mean, thank God they did it. And Hugh Hefner was a big part of helping save the sign, along with other celebrities. But it's a landmark, so they can't do it now. Howard Hughes owned the land and wanted to build the biggest house in L.A. or in Los Angeles up on that mountaintop for his girlfriend Ginger Rogers, but she wasn't into it, so that's good that there's not a big house up there. So there's tons more history and stories and stuff, but I just wanted to give you a glimpse of the history of Hollywood, the city, the town, and the beautiful sign that is up there. I hope it does get, you just need a few light bulbs, and I think the city tax us. I think we would all pay a little, a few pennies each for that. That would be cool. I read somewhere that there was a guy that lived up there, that lived in a little shack behind one of the letters, and that his job was to come out and replace the bulbs when they were missing. So that was a long time ago, but I loved that little story of a man up on a hill changing light bulbs. hey, if you let me up there, I'll take that job. I'll do that job for you. All right. Well, I hope we didn't have too much fun today because I had a lot of fun. So can't wait for Film Scoring Friday tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day. Miss you. Love you. And see you tomorrow.